I love the look of this. Oh, beautiful. Who's this?
Well, you took your time.
Sorry, Mom. This is him?
Oh, it is!
Hello.
You don't look much like your pictures.
Well, that's an ongoing problem.
Riversaw.
Doesn't look very impressive, does he? Nardole, what have you brought to my doorstep?
Nardole?
Haircut. This is my best suit.
It's not even a suit.
Do I know you?
You most certainly do not. And now that you've met me, you'll do your very best to forget me.
River!
Oi! Dr. Song to you?
How do you know me?
Oh.
Well, it's a tiny bit complicated. People usually need a flowchart.
He said haircut and
It
suit.
doesn't matter. If I
On my
use
doorstep.
my name again, I will remove your organs in alphabetical order. Any
No,
questions?
no, 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 no. This is it, isn't it? Oh my god. Is this it? You showed up on my doorstep with a new haircut and suit. She said that.
No.
Hey, I know that guy.
You know who you remind me of?
Yes, probably a chap with a big...
My
Yeah.
second wife.
The big chin. Matt Smith.
You have stolen so much from so many King Hydroflax, and I'm the woman who's going to steal it all back.
Hmm.
What are you? I'm an archaeologist.
They're really driving home the fact that she's an archaeologist at this point.
This is a serious mission in a critical phase. There is nothing to laugh about here.
Oh, there is.
Threatened by a bag. By a hand in a bag.
I shall make dust of you.
I can't approve of any
That
of this,
smile.
but I haven't laughed in a long
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Well, good for you.
But I can't locate Damsel. I've looked everywhere.
Damsel.
Damsel.
None of these men are here. Are you sure it's one of these?
Yes,
Oh.
he only has these 12 faces. He'll be around here somewhere. This is the closest intersection with the doctor.
Ah, I counted the war doctor.
Apparently, he needs a lot of rescuing.
What if he has a face that you don't know about yet?
He has limits.
Ah, she doesn't know about the...
Before you come in, you better prepare yourself for a shock. It's not as snug as it looks.
Yeah. He gets to fake it. It's bigger on the inside.
It's my go.
Eh.
God! Oh, it's bigger
Yes.
on the inside.
It's the easiest lie you can tell a man. They'll automatically believe any story they're the hero of.
You look sad.
Hmm.
It's nearly full.
Ah.
So,
The man who gave me this was the sort of man who'd know exactly how long a diary you were going to need.
It is. This is it. Beryllium. The Singing Towers and all of that.
I really don't care.
We do it in honor of our distant and loving king, who once visited our world in blood and
That king's head is in there, isn't it?
we prostrate ourselves in your name.
Ah.
For love of thee, we do this thing today. Hydroflax.
Yeah.
If it's a new head you're after, this is the guide
Oh.
to the very best.
Don't touch that. Give that back to me.
The Diary of River Song.
I mean, she gets it
The
back. I know
ultimate
that much,
guide
but
to the
still.
Time Lord known as the Doctor.
Don't you dare touch that!
Oh, yeah.
The Pandorica opens.
Ah.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
Ah, he's reading it.
And goodness me, a picnic at Asgard.
Ah, picnic at
Some
Asgard,
people
yep.
really know how to snack. The crash of the Byzantium. Didn't
Done
they make
that?
a movie of that? Jim the Fish.
Jim the Fish.
We all know Jim the Fish. You're the woman he loves.
No, I'm not.
She's lying.
The doctor does not and has never loved me.
Confirmed. The life form is not
Wow.
dying.
Impossible. You are the woman who loves the Doctor.
Yes, I am.
That's
I've
true.
never denied it.
That part's true for
But
sure.
whoever said he loved me back? He's the doctor. He doesn't go around falling in love with people.
He does. From time to time.
When you love the doctor, it's like loving the stars themselves. You don't expect a sunset to admire you back. And he is certainly not in love enough to find himself standing in it with me.
Do the line. Ah.
You are so doing those roots.
The roots of the sunset. To check with the stars themselves. body.
I'll let you know. I've only seen the
Oh.
face. How have you got you, by the way? Aren't there rules?
A thing happened.
I bet it probably did.
Did you get the book? Get the diary. I mean, she gets it. I know. I see it.
Oh, don't stop for strangers.
Look who's talking.
He's got a history of that. I'm getting that lump in my throat because this is it, isn't it? Yes.
Get a bad day on the market.
Elizabeth First.
Ramon.
Marilyn Monroe.
Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry.
Same thing.
Cleopatra.
Hang on a minute. I recognize that planet.
Well, that's nice. Maybe they'll name the crater after us.
No. It's Derillium.
That's Derillium. The Singing Towers?
Yes, I'll be sure to give them a wave as we zoom past.
You always said you were going to take me there for dinner and then you always cancel at the last minute.
I'd quite like to cancel this time too, if at all possible.
Yeah, he's avoiding it. But how long can you avoid it?
Indestructible as ever.
I mean, she is quite the special mix. It's meant to be this incredible night that they spent together, right? Or had together. I'll never forget the look on Tennant's face as she's saying that line of dialogue. It painted such a vivid picture, didn't it? Oh my god, that is stunning. Those are the towers.
Hello? Sir?
Who's this?
Thank you, sir.
Is this someone special? Who? Wow.
Those are the Singing Towers, aren't they? The Singing Towers of Derillium. Here we are at last.
Ah.
Sir? They should build a restaurant right here with a view of those towers. Make a lot of money that way.
He needs it to be built so he can bring River.
Money to begin with, sir. The Hassi Andruvar.
Ah, sorry.
I think you'll find that the reward is pretty substantial.
And then some. Oh. It's a beautiful shot as well.
Why would you give me this, sir?
Restaurant.
He's a delightful fellow. Oh. Pretty. Oh, okay.
Now that, my dear,
Yeah.
is a suit.
That's the suit, is it?
I don't think you've ever given me a present before.
It is. My heart just sank.
Driver, how lovely.
When I saw the Sonic trial, I thought it was just embarrassing.
It's the same one.
You look, amazing.
Doctor, you have no idea whether I look amazing or not.
Well, you've
Oh, it's the same theme. He's going to cry at some point as well.
The Singing Towers.
Listen to it. Are you crying?
I know I am.
Just the wind.
Oh,
Nothing's ever just the wind.
beautiful.
No?
Why are you sad?
Why are you sad?
There are stories about us, you
Oh,
know.
I dread to think.
I look them up sometimes.
This is stunning.
You shouldn't do that.
Spoilers, River.
Suggest the very last night we spend together is at the Singing Towers of Derillium. That wouldn't be true, would it?
Spoilers.
Do you remember that time when there were two of you? Because I want you to know that if this is
Two
the
of you?
last night, I expect you to find a way round it.
Not everything can be avoided.
You wait until the last minute and then you spring it on me.
Every night is the last night for something. Every Christmas is last
Well, you
Christmas.
will. You wait until I've given up hope. All will be lost, and you'll do that smug little smile, and then you'll save the day.
The
You
theme.
always do.
No, I don't. Not always. Times end, River, because they have to.
Happy ever after doesn't mean forever. It just means time. Little time.
Together.
That's not the sort of thing you could ever understand, is it?
Peter Capaldi.
What do you think of the towers?
And Alex Kingston.
I love them. They're ignoring me.
Ah.
But then you can't expect a monolith to love you.
Wow.
All anyone will ever tell you is that when the wind stands fair and the night is perfect, when you least expect it, but always when you need it the most. There is a song.
Yeah, there is.
Assuming tonight is all we have left,
I didn't say that.
how long is a night on Darillium?
Eh?
24 years.
I hate you.
No, you don't.
Yeah. Ah. Happy. All right, folks. So that's the Christmas special, The Husbands of River Song. I mean, the final 10 to 15 minutes is just, my goodness. You know, honestly, for me, that's one of the greatest moments in all of Doctor Who. Right now, this is something that might be quite subjective for many, right? Because it all kind of depends on how much you really care about the Doctor and River plot. And it's a plot that's been on for some time now, since series 4, right? Set up in that incredible two-parter. So yeah, you know, this could essentially fall flat for some. It's, you know, people who might not really care much for the character of River Song, might not care much for the relationship between the two, right? So I can completely understand how, you know, this might not do anything for some, but I happen to fall in the other camp. I do care about River Song quite a bit. I do care about this relationship that they've had quite a bit. You know, River Song is one of my favorite parts of Doctor Who. She truly is. I mean, I remember in that two-parter, all that time ago in series 4, immediately just loving River Song, the character that is River Song, the plot that is being set up for that character in that episode, in that two-parter. It really, really pulled me in, right? And since that day, since you know, that two-parter, especially the second part of the two-parter, you know, I've always been just a fan of Alex Kingston and River Song. Anytime she gets to make an appearance. Now, listen, you know, that being said, there's times, of course, that, you know, sometimes it was a bit much, or, you know, sometimes it kind of ends up going into a direction that I wasn't the biggest fan of, just here and there. But for the most part, I've really, really quite enjoyed the River Song plot. And, you know, I was really quite emotional because I do think it's special. The Doctor and River Song together, right? It just feels special because it's spanned multiple Doctors, multiple series. And, you know, I think one of the nicest things about this, one of the most beautiful things about this, is that she gets to say goodbye to all 3 Doctors, right? Even though essentially this is her Doctor. Because, of course, there's that beautiful twist in the conclusion, right? That, you know, a night on Darillium is 24 years. So ultimately, he did kind of find a loophole. He did look for a loophole, I suppose, right? He made it happen. Now, you know, of course, sooner or later, everything comes to an end, right? And you really kind of get to see everything he's kind of experienced and learned, that he has learned to accept things as they are meant to be, right? This is coming hot off of the conclusion of Series 9. Right there in the finale, in Hellbent, he is hell-bent on trying to defy something that is meant to be, something that he should not be trying to change, right? So, you know, his acceptance here is, yes, even if it is sad, it's quite resolute. But also, you know, it is a bit of an order that River Song herself gives to the 10th Doctor. She told him to not change a single line of their story. I believe Tennant's Doctor is saying something like, time can be rewritten. And then she replies, not this time, not these times, right? Not one single line, don't you dare. It's just really quite satisfying and fulfilling. It does not leave you feeling hollow. At this moment, I'm just so full of emotion and I'm just happy. Of course, I'm sad, you know. I mean, it was kind of difficult because I was kind of choked up for most of that final segment. So, you know, I'm just taking it in. But But, before I forget, let me kind of go back to my point about this being her doctor, right? Again, it kind of links back to the Forest of the Dead, I believe. That's the second part, right? There's a lot of beautiful callbacks. And of course, one of them being the setup. The setup that is just executed so brilliantly in this episode, right? It's just so effective and satisfying, isn't it? Completing that narrative loop, that narrative circle that set up all that time ago. There is something so incredibly satisfying to get a conclusion for that, to have it come full circle, right? And of course, that raises the question, is this essentially the end of River Song? Is this the final time I get to see River Song? If you ask me, I think this is perfect. I think I'm happy to say goodbye to River Song. And I say that because it truly just feels like that, right? It does. It feels like the most perfect ending to that incredible story. But yeah, in the Forest of the Dead, she tells Tennant, or the 10th, the whole thing about Beryllium, right? The singing towers, and that you cried, that it's this incredible night. And, I think she begins the whole thing by saying, the real doctor, the real you, the future you, right? My doctor, essentially. So yeah, even though it is the first time Kingston and Capaldi link up on screen, she spends essentially the most time with this doctor, right? This feels like her doctor. I'm sure that in those 24 years, she really, really got to know him even more, got to know everything about him, learned so much as well. I'm sure, and I'm sure the doctor learned so much from her as well, right? And then ultimately, yeah, this is an immediate prequel to that two-parter, isn't it? Because the next time they meet, it's going to be the 10th. And essentially it is a follow-up to Angels Take Manhattan, or The Angels Take Manhattan. It all checks out quite nicely. Listen, I'm sure there might be a few inconsistencies. Maybe a few things are shuffled here and there. Maybe they might not line up. But ultimately, I think it holds up to that two-parter. But also I think it's important to remember that her actual final appearance is after the two-parter, right? In the Name of the Doctor, as the ghost version of her, right? That version that is stored inside of that hard drive, essentially. That's the one that gets to say goodbye to the 11th, right? And then of course she gets to say goodbye to the 10th, and here I get to see her say goodbye to the 12th. Quite a prolonged goodbye, 24 years to be exact. And yes, of course, everything comes to an end. But who said anything about it being swiftly, right? 24 years. Just to have that information, to know that information, it's an incredible feeling. I'm just so happy about that. But there's just so many beautiful moments. I just love that she truly knows that the Doctor does love her, because, she's always had this idea of, perhaps maybe the Doctor likes her, but he doesn't truly love her. And the thing is, she doesn't complain about that. She's okay with it. She's been okay with the notion of that for a long time. She accepted that, right? Perhaps she gets a bit of that from her father, Rory, because, he also had these struggles about being loved, or feeling that maybe he's not worthy of their love. In Rory's case, Amy, this is one of his struggles in series 5, right? That he overcomes, that they both kind of overcome, don't they? Over the span of the next few series, it is the Moffat era, but in the Matt Smith era. Even though they also have their rough patches, right, near the conclusion, but then they kind of patch it up once again. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, Angels in Manhattan, that's the last time I get to see them, right? And River Song is coming off of that as well. Now, of course, there's got to be a lot that might have happened in between that. It's not directly off of that storyline. And the thing is, it actually gives the Doctor a new perspective as well, because he is in quite a unique position, isn't he? Because for a long span of this, River Song did not know that this is the Doctor in front of her. So as it keeps playing on, and she still does not kind of put it together that, okay, there's something, unique, strange about this man. I think there's more than enough there in terms of mannerisms and just how impressive this person is that she doesn't know is the Doctor. I think there was enough there that someone as clever and intelligent as River Song, I just think that someone like her would have put it together much earlier, right? But the thing is, it's still quite effective because that moment is an incredible moment, right? The penny drop moment. My goodness, that double take she does. And then of course the look on Peter Capaldi's face. Oh, as he drops perhaps one of the most iconic Hello Sweeties on the show, right? To date. Right. Also, beyond that aspect of it, maybe an actual confirmation to her as well. Okay, yeah, it's me. It's truly me, right? Because this is something that's special to them. So for him saying that also confirms it for her, right? But I don't think she truly needed that confirmation because by that time she can read in his face. Oh, okay. Somehow the doctor had another regeneration, right? But yeah. I mean, okay, there is that aspect of it, right? She didn't know. She legitimately just didn't know that he was going to have another regeneration or that he's had another regeneration, right? She was kind of following the rules that she's known for some time now. And there's a lovely moment as they pull out the photos of every single doctor, right? The damsel, as they called them. So it's a lovely touch to see that. And then, of course, right at the end to see Tennant and Matt Smith as well. But let's kind of, pause on that for a moment and look at the structure of this episode, the Christmas special as a whole. Listen, I'll be honest, it's a bit of a strange, I don't know, perhaps it's a bit of an odd structure because, for a good chunk of it, 40 minutes, maybe 35 minutes, it's quite the, like I said earlier, lighthearted, comedic approach, a lot of slapstick. And honestly speaking, the plot of this episode didn't really do much for me, right? The whole King Hydroflex component of this, even though, Greg Davies is fantastic. I really like him. Of course, I was introduced to him through that Graham Norton episode, right? That incredibly hilarious story that he tells on that episode. And, Ryan Gosling is just absolutely losing it. Right. But, he's a funny man since coming across that, I've really kind of looked him up and stuff. I like him. He's a really great guy. The other man, I think I've seen him as well before. Just online, YouTube, social media. I think his face just seems really familiar. But I'd say out of the two, and even though it's quite a limited appearance, Greg Davies is the one that kind of stands out the most out of those two. The guest actors. And I actually think maybe they could have used Greg Davies a bit more. I mean, on one end, you can understand the approach, right? Given the fact that it is a Christmas special and people are going to be watching it around Christmas, right? So I can kind of understand the really, simple approach, really lighthearted and simple approach to the plot. I mean, it's as simple as it gets. But, that being said, there's also Christmas specials like The Last Christmas, The Christmas Carol as well. I mean, Last Christmas specifically felt like a full-on, proper, just episode of Doctor Who, right? And, they had a few, Christmas elements sprinkled in. But yeah, they can do both. I've seen them do both types of Christmas episodes or specials, right? The Last Christmas, and then you have this type of episode. But also that aspect of it really gave Capaldi and this doctor to really kind of loosen up a bit. Or actually not loosen up. He's loosened up quite a bit since Series 8, of course, but specifically after the things that have happened to him recently, right? There's this beautiful moment. He's just laughing, just absolutely laughing. And at first River's kind of like confused about it, but then she understands as well, how silly all of it is. And that, she can laugh about it as well. But I loved it. I love seeing Capaldi have that moment, right? Because like he said, he needed that. He did. So a lot of this he kind of needed, right? And the structure of this episode allows for it. Even though, it's a bit of a bizarre moment for him because River Song actually legitimately did not know it's the doctor. And also there's that really fun moment. He's on the other end of it now. He gets to do the whole, oh my God, it's bigger on the inside, right? But, in his mind, you see that he's always had this perfect reaction to that, right? He's always hoped in his mind that this is how people should react, right? But, ultimately, I can't say that as a whole, the Christmas special is one of the better ones. I don't think it's a better Christmas special than The Last Christmas or The Christmas Carol, perhaps. But the thing is, like I said earlier, it has a 15 to 10 minute portion or a segment that is actually one of my favorite moments in all of Doctor Who. It's one of the most impactful and emotional moments I've experienced on the show. And of course, Peter Capaldi and Alex Kingston just absolutely deliver here. There is so much chemistry on display. So much. I mean, it's not a surprise, is it? But also that element of the Doctor getting this unique perspective, an outsider's perspective, because River Song doesn't know she's in the company of the Doctor. He gets to see the side of her that the Doctor doesn't usually get to see or doesn't get to see, right? Anytime they're separated. And he gets to see that, she truly believes that the Doctor doesn't love her, right? She certainly loves him, right? That's set in stone. And you can see in Capaldi's face that it's a sad thing for him to hear this, right? And, in terms of closing the loop on many of these things and the setup for all of that, the Doctor knows, right? He's known now for some time that he's the one who has to give her the Sonic, right? And he certainly gives her the Sonic at this one, right? And it's in pristine condition. And the next time I see it in that two-parter, it looks like it's been used up a bit. So of course, she doesn't go directly to I don't know, the events of that episode. But yeah, as the Doctor already experienced all of that, right, through his 10th iteration, Tennant's Doctor, he knew that he has to give her the Sonic. He knew he has to, I think, scan her, right? He does scan her before kind of giving it to her. And she gives him a hug and a few kisses, right? And thanks him for it. So yeah, he knew he had to do that to save that copy of her, right, inside of that Sonic. I remember Tennant even asking himself, the 10th asking himself, I must have given her the Sonic for a reason, right? And then, of course, once again, there's a bit of a rundown of all the things that have happened. The Pandorica opens, the crash of the Byzantium, right? Picnic at Asgard, Jim the Fish. Who's Jim the Fish? I'll never forget Matt Smith, the 11th line in that episode. Hell, I even saw that diner really quite recently in Hellbent, right? Good times, man. Good times. At this point, I have this urge to immediately go back to some of those earlier episodes, right? The two-parter, and then kind of just go through River Song's whole timeline once again. But I think it'd be really quite nice to go back to those two episodes specifically, right? Her first two appearances and her last, at that point at least. But yeah, I think it just beautifully ties into everything he's kind of gone through and learned through his recent experiences, through Clara, through the loss of Clara. And yeah, even if he doesn't specifically remember her, he does remember all the experiences, right? So, I love how they kind of approach that, right? It's not a complete reset like Donna. So those experiences, they remain. But again, like I said in the last episode's discussion, that's one of the things that hurt so much, right? That everything is erased from Donna. Everything, all of those experiences and all of those memories and all of that growth, right? Yeah, that's not the case here. So yeah. And listen, I think, and I'm sure I'm not the first one to say this or kind of formulate this opinion, even though he doesn't outright say something like "I love you," and I'm glad he doesn't say anything like that, because I don't know, it doesn't quite feel like Doctor. But I think he indirectly still makes it pretty clear to River Song, and she understands as well that indeed he does care for her. He does love her, right? He loves her just as much as she loves him. And I do believe that one of the most beautiful moments of the entire show is the last shot of this, actually. Those two just really up close, right? The Doctor and River Song, and those looks. At one point, the Doctor's looking down, and then, River's kind of looking down, and then they kind of make eye contact as well. I don't know, man. There's something beautiful about that moment. Both Alex Kingston and Capaldi just beautifully sold that moment, right? It just, oh my goodness, it just communicates so much to us, the audience. But going back to my point about him essentially or potentially, saying I love you indirectly, or as close as the Doctor's going to get to something like that, I believe that line of dialogue is really quite significant, right? I think there's a lot of subtext there. There is a song, the song in the monolith. You can even kind of look at the two singing towers as the two hearts of the Doctor, right? And the song being river. There's just a lot of symbolism there. I believe he said something like, when you least expect it, but always when you need it the most, right? There is a song. And I think the Doctor is speaking for himself as well at that point, in addition to, kind of describing the nature of the singing towers and the song. And also, the scene itself, the dinner at that restaurant in the balcony, the setup, everything the Doctor does there is just perfection, isn't it? And then, of course, the beautiful use of Murray Gold's music, the 10th Doctor's motif, or a motif from the 10th Doctor's era kind of, slips in as well. I mean, there's a few themes taken directly out of the two-parter. And I think it kind of flows beautifully into a version of the Madman with a Box, right? And then, of course, it kind of goes into something from the 12th. But yeah, as a whole, I've got to say, really satisfying. Really satisfying. And if indeed that is the final time I see River Song, I think it is just the perfect send-off. But yeah, that does it for this Christmas special. But I believe the next one is actually another Christmas special. But how exactly does that function? Because they didn't air both of them, did they? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they didn't really air both of them around the same time. So if it's a Christmas special, it must have been the year after. So essentially, there's a bit of a break, kind of similar to the Tennant era, the final segment of Tennant's era, the 4 specials that happened. But yeah, I suppose there's one more Christmas special, and then I'll get into Capaldi's final series, Series 10. I think it could be nice if this time there is a male companion on the TARDIS, that could be interesting, because as of this point, I have no clue about the structure of Series 10. I knew about Jenna Coleman for a long time. I knew she's going to be a companion, but, as of this point, I have no idea about, any potential companions, any, names that kind of stand out to me or anything. So I'm excited about that aspect of it. It is going to be quite a surprise, whoever a new companion ends up being. If he might have multiple companions over the span of the entire series, that could be nice. But yeah, I do hope there is a male companion as well, kind of similar to Rory. That could be nice. I think could be a nice dynamic. Capaldi and a male companion. But yeah, that does it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access or perhaps even timer-based full length, consider checking out the Patreon page and potentially supporting the channel. The links are in the description and the pinned comment, also links to social media, if that's your thing. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for the next Christmas special. Until then, take it easy.